And I'm going to go ahead and introduce our speakers so we can get started, and we'll let the other people from downstairs catch up to us as we go. I'd like to introduce to you Marianne Fitzpatrick. She is a managing partner at Acacia Marketing Group, and Kimberly Stone, the Director of Web and Creative Services at PlanView, and they're going to give you an excellent presentation. I've seen it on launching new products through virtual environments. They're each going to give you a case study of a project that they did themselves. So, ladies, I'll let you start. Oh, and for the virtual audience, I'm sorry, I want to remind you that the Twitter hashtag for this room is VES11C, VES11C, and I will get your questions and relay them to the speakers. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much, Donna. Thank you for the folks in the room with us today in Las Vegas and the online audience. The good thing is now what happens in Vegas stays on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, InExpo, Unisphere, so there will be no secrets here this week. Thanks for joining. My name is Marianne Fitzpatrick, and I'm one of the managing partners of Acacia Marketing Group. We're a marketing consulting firm that specializes in developing marketing strategy and programs for high-tech companies. And myself and my business partner are both former high-tech corporate employees. We've worked for IBM Corporation, Lotus, and we managed and led a lot of initiatives around product marketing, event marketing, industry marketing, global marketing. And so we've got sort of a breadth of experience that we bring to our clients. And we started Acacia 10 years ago, and we really focus on partnering with our clients to develop demand generation programs, market management, industry programs, and event and virtual conferences. And yes, we know and love virtual. We've actually been producing virtual conferences and programs since 2002, and we even toyed with the idea a few years ago of getting into the platform business because we were a little frustrated with some of the capabilities at that time. But we figured we'd keep our day jobs, and what we really love to do is develop content and take really good content and target that at a specific audience and deliver it in the most appropriate way for that audience. So this list is, just a start, but it's expanding, and I met with some of the exhibitors today in the exhibit hall, and I see that the technology is evolving, which I love. But we've done anything from multi-day user conferences to briefing center projects to e-learning workshops, live, simu-live, integrating social media, and the list goes on and will continue. Last August, we were approached, one of our clients is IBM, and we were asked by their business analytics software group to help them launch IBM Cognos 10. And it was a very significant launch for the company. The Cognos product line hadn't done a release like this in some years, and it was very important. And it would be, the message would be delivered at the Business Analytics Forum in October, which is part of IBM's Information on Demand conference, which is their largest user conference of the year. So that was taking place at the Mandalay Bay here in Las Vegas. And Drury Productions was hired to do the live event on stage. And they hired Acacia to do a simulcast or a live cast of what was happening. And so the goals really around the live cast were to extend the buzz. What was happening at Business Analytics Forum would be delivered to an audience of about 2,000. But how do we really extend the messaging and get that product introduced to the global marketplace? And so we were, the audience was going to consist of customers, prospects, business partners, press, analysts, and even employees. So doing a live cast was a good way to reach that broad audience. And then in terms of attracting folks, the business analytics demand gen team has had some great success with social media. And so it was really mixing social media with traditional to drive registrations and start building the pipeline for Q4 and into 2011, and then obviously execute a live virtual event and really engage the audience. The strategy was, we really wanted to make like they were part of the launch. We wanted them to feel the excitement. We wanted them to be able to engage with product experts and feel part of it versus, just having information pushed to them. So as we were formulating the content plan and sort of what was going to happen, looking at all the bells and whistles we wanted to get across, we had to pick a platform that would support thousands of attendees, live attendees, live stream media feeds. So we were delivering data, product demos, video roll-ins, on-stage presenters. There were special effects. We were synchronizing the slides live as well. The demos were really important, so something that would offer us the ability to do close-up screenshots and really see the product that was being introduced. We were wanted to integrate social media, so offering different outlets for LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We added a moderated interactive Q&A session to the list. And then there was a really robust microsite that was built to support the launch, and it had, customer testimonials and demos and collateral and things. So instead of building a resource center within the virtual environment, we just wanted to integrate with the one that already existed. And then it's always fabulous to have robust reporting and know, who's registering when and who's participating and things like that. So the platform we chose, which is one of IBM's vendors, is On24. And they're not here at this event, unfortunately, but they had come out with a new social media platform that looked really great. It was customizable. It integrated with all the social media outlets. And I also think that On24 is very good at live events. They really know how to stream live, and they have a lot of experience. So we partnered with them. And we didn't have a lot of lead time, which is not always what I'd recommend. But I think once you get the right people on board and, everybody sort of rallies around a launch, it's pretty exciting. So the outreach didn't start till 19 days before the actual event. Typically, we would suggest, for a virtual event, we usually start outreach 6 weeks out. But because of revenue recognition and some competing events, we didn't want to do list fatigue to our prospects. So there was the microsite actually launched on October 6th, 19 days before the event. And then a really talented person, Delaney Turner at IBM, he managed all the social media implementation. So he started really in September with a whisper campaign. And so he was, tweeting and sort of teasing that something was happening and starting to build the excitement in September, and then went sort of full force in October. So, it was, the slide here shows that on Twitter, he reached over 100,000 people and over 1,000 tweets, which was really great. Also posts on LinkedIn, Facebook. He was blogging constantly. He's still blogging constantly. He's a wonderful writer. He just told me last week that 3 of the blog posts ended up being in the top 10 of 2010 blog posts. So that worked out very successfully. And then it was mixed with traditional marketing and outreach. So there were 3 touches that started just 12 days before. So it was 2 weeks out, 1 week out, and then the day of, the final one that we sent, got over 800 registrations that day. So that was pretty exciting. This chart is just showing the importance of really the precision in formulating your agenda and knowing what is going to happen literally minute by minute. So one sort of challenge that we had is the Business Analytics Forum keynote session was set, the date, time, place was set well in advance. And so the live cast had to happen as part of that announcement, which was scheduled for 2:15 p.m. Pacific time, which is right now when we started this session, ironically. Not the best time to be doing a global announcement. But it was what it was. And so we had really a 2-hour window to get through a lot of content. And so we opened the environment 15 minutes in advance of when we wanted to start the announcement so that, in case of any technical difficulties or anything with people logging in, there was a live Twitter feed to keep the excitement building, people engaged. You could link to the resource center, and then there was a walk-in experience video. And then from 2:15 to 3:15 was really chock-a-block full of different, image magnification, cameras, video, there were special effects, application demos. So we had the sort of the precision around the agenda timed out literally to the minute. And then at 3:15, the live audience left, and we started a moderated interactive Q&A. So people could submit questions through Twitter, they could submit questions through the Q&A box within the environment. And all along still, encouraging them to access the resource center for, downloads of collateral and white papers and things like that. So this chart was really what let me sleep at night, I think. We weren't able to start working with On24 till about a month out, and so the first production call we had with them was a very lengthy one, and sort of gave them an overview of what we were trying to accomplish. But in my mind, I needed to see this. How is all this technology going to get delivered and, switched where it needs to be and through the fiber at Mandalay Bay and to the live audience online? So this helped a lot, and we worked really closely with Drury Productions. As I said, they were the on-site production company managing the live event. It was really important that they were part of our production call, so we understood what they were doing, and we could really leverage resources as well. So this slide will show you, there's different, video sources, cameras, application demos, going to the switcher and then through the fiber at Mandalay Bay. We talked a lot, and what's really important to me is that we mitigate as much risk as possible. So we did do separate slide pushing. We did have backup video roll-ins. We didn't have backup demos because they were happening live on stage. And one of them was even on an iPad. But what we did have is a backup audio plan. So if the fiber failed, at least the audience could still hear the presentation while we recovered the media. So here's, I'm going to just take you through a sequence of what the environment looked like. I think it looked great. I loved, if you look at the bottom there, you can access Twitter, Facebook, you can go to the Resource Center. This environment is very customizable. You could make the media player smaller, you could make the slide area bigger. If the Twitter feed was distracting, it could go away. If you were not going to ask questions, that could go away. So I liked that everybody could have sort of a unique experience that worked for them. This is just to show you what all the elements on stage looked like and how it was delivered through the live cast. So this is part of the opening video. We've got our host coming on stage. Mark Jeffrey is a big personality. Then we had the keynote speaker, Rob Ash. He's the general manager of the Business Analytics Software Group at IBM. And then there was even special effects on stage. So pyrotechnics can be relayed over the internet pretty successfully. And then the moment everybody's waiting for the reveal of Cognos 10. And then we got into really about 35, 40 minutes of demos. So there were 7 different demos. You can see Leah McMillan at the podium to the right. And a couple demos were live, as I said, through an iPad, and she did a fabulous job. The demos are really important if you're going to, announce a software product. So I did like the way that the media player was sizable so that you could actually see the data. I wish it could be bigger because I think it's really important, but this came out pretty good. And then there were some shots that there was a lot of data, right? So there's 4 or 5 windows shown here. So we were constantly pushing messaging out to the online audience to let them know how to customize and maximize their environment. And then we finished off with a customer panel. And once that ended, so that was about an hour's worth of content, we switched over to the live Q&A. So we had a moderator, we had two product executives. We entertained 250 questions came in. We entertained as many as we could and followed up with the other ones. We definitely could have gone on all day. At the end of the Q&A, there were still 1,000 people logged in. And again, it was 2:15 to 3:15 Pacific time. So when we looked at the, where people were participating from all over the world, literally, I mean, half, if not more, of the people should have been asleep. Or, on the East Coast, we sent special invitations to them to say, hey, 5:15, most people are heading out of the office. But this is going to be a revolutionary launch, stay and tune in. So it was really staggering, the global participation given the time. So the registration and attendee stats really exceeded our expectations. The original goal was, given that the time, given that that we didn't, announce the simulcast until just a couple weeks out, and as we got closer and registration started to come in the first week, I'll take you through these results. We ended up with nearly 6,000 registrations, almost 2,500 people logged into the live event from 52 countries. In the first week alone, just through social media before we started traditional outreach, over 900 registrations. So the power of that sold can really work. There were over 1,000 tweets on Twitter, over 250 questions submitted, and thousands and thousands of content downloads from the microsite. So, and then it didn't stop there. So we finished October 25th, and immediately after, obviously, that event went on demand. It's still on demand. To date, we have over 830 people that have watched the on-demand version. And then it kicked off a live event series to over 100 cities worldwide. Those events were really to get, more up close and personal with the product, network with the product experts, and engage with the executives. So in North America, Acacia was hired to project manage a 54-city roadshow, which is started in November and will conclude in late February. And we've been delivering those in various formats, half-day seminars, executive dinners, breakfast events. We have been managing 80 sponsors as part of that program. And, the momentum, the registration results for that has been really great. In EMEA and AP, again, they're doing their own seminars starting the day after the launch through Q1 in 50 cities. And then a gal on the demand gen team, Zainab Marasli, she worked with Unisphere to produce 2 virtual conferences. So about 3 weeks later, in mid-November, for people that were outside a 50-mile radius or just couldn't get to a live event, there was a virtual event. And they, it was a version of the keynote, deep dives on breakout sessions, more technical content. And then many of the partners that had sponsored the live event series also sponsored the virtual event series, so they were exhibiting virtually there. And she ran that in 2 different time zones for North America, and then the week later for EMEA, and had different set of partners at the European event. And then the social media engine continues to crank and drive excitement. So I just want to conclude with some best practices. I would start now. If you know that 2011 is going to be a launch year for you, I would start now and really think about what content you want to deliver. Because if you've got to have application demos built or videos produced and things like that, you're better off starting early. And then you really want to figure out the right delivery platform and how you want to engage the audience. Engage the audience. Because I really think the days of webinars are over and people don't, our time is valuable. So if you're going to participate in something, especially a launch where there's supposed to be want to really feel part of that. Timing is everything. Really get precise on your agenda, what's happening when, how the transitions are going to happen, what is switching when, and make sure, all the ducks are in a row, because you only have one shot at these things, and so you really do need them to be executed flawlessly. Expect the unexpected. Really have backup plans to backup plans. Things can go wrong, so make sure everybody knows seamlessly, transition if something doesn't work out the way you want to, and that you can recover. And keep your audience informed. If something goes wrong, let them know so that they don't, log out. And then extend the shelf life. Really, take that great content and use it either on demand or even the Q&As that come in. Those can be valuable to share with your audience, to share with people that didn't come. Do top 10 most frequently asked questions, things like that. So I appreciate your attention, and I'm available after the session for questions, or my contact information is on the slide, and I'd be happy to talk to anybody further. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Kimberly.
Marion, I do have some questions, but I will wait until the end. I wrote some down.
Oh. Cool. All right, so I'm going to talk about product launches from a little bit different angle, from the SMB side. And it's not the big, awesome live event, but in the SMB, you can still do a product launch virtually and have a good time and have good results. So I work for a company called PlanView, which is in the portfolio management, IT product portfolio management space. And we sell into the enterprise. So all of our customers are enterprise class, and we compete with the enterprise. We've been around for 20 years. We have about 250 employees, so not a huge resource pool to draw from for things like this. And we have about 550 customers. So I want to explain how we got to the solution of virtual for a product launch. And actually, the story starts with us going virtual for a user event in 2009. We have this awesome annual user event. We've had it for decades, where we have people come to Austin, and it's amazing, and we get our customers drunk, and they have a good time, they dance, and it's just wonderful. But we hit the early 2009, and we were hearing clear feedback that there were no travel budgets. And so we were like, well, what do we do? Do you cancel it? Do you have it and 50 people come? What's the answer to that? And the answer is to go virtual. And so we did an analysis, and we chose Unisphere as our platform vendor, and we did our 3-day event, 3 days in a virtual platform. And it was very similar to the physical event. We actually mimicked it. Actually, there's a case study at Unisphere because we did some unique things to try to duplicate our physical event. And we did charge attendees, but less than what they would pay for the usual physical event. We had 250% increase to the virtual event over what we had in our physical events in years past. And overall, very responsive, a positive response. I mean, people really liked it. But it wasn't the perfect fit for our user conference. They really missed us. And even though they really valued that we did this for them and that they had something, it wasn't quite the right thing. But we were absolutely sold on the technology. We were like, we've got to find another way to use this technology. It's amazing. The stats that we can get and the reach that we can get, just, they're great. We've got to find something. So let's talk a little bit about how we used to do product launches in the past. And so being the SMB in the old, history, 20 years ago, we would do sales and marketing communications and, community sites updates in the last 10 years. Really pretty low key, right? And then sales and marketing communications, community sites updates, plus the webcast series. Woo, getting techie now. So that was better. We got more interactivity, more eyeballs in the webcast series. Then a couple years ago, we added a direct mail campaign, very expensive, and that did drive more people to the webcast. And so that was great. But a couple things. One, it was, customer only. And then we were looking at 2010, we were like, what can we do better? I mean, it really needs to be better because this is going to be a big product launch for us. And so we decided to hold a virtual event, and it was the PlanView Product Expo, and it was announcing our very important 10-1 launch, which for us, this was a complete redo of our product. It was a big deal. It was serious. We really needed something that had a lot of finesse and bigness to it, right? So we held it in February, and we're actually going to do another one in March. And And this time, exciting, not just for customers, but we could have analysts come in and media, and we actually had qualified prospects come in. So this is the first time that as a company, we invited qualified prospects into a launch, any type of launch, anything, right, that we ever communicated to them about our launches. So that was a big deal. We also had partners come in as well, but these groups were the main focus for the event. So just to tell you a little bit about the structure of the event, we went light on sessions, so kind of the complete opposite of what they did at IBM. So we had one session, which was our EVP of products. He spoke twice to hit EMEA and US time zones, and he just basically gave the overview of the product. And then we put a lot of energy into exhibition halls. So we had an all-access hall for everyone, and then we had a customer-only hall. Just the customers could go in and get more detailed information. We had a networking lounge and forums and prizes and all the good things that make an event fun. So it was 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. It was a long day because we got into the office at 4:30 and left at 6:30. And that means that we were able to get EMEA in early, and Australia started showing up around 4 p.m. We were a little tired, unfortunately, but they were there and we were there, and so that was good. So suddenly, we've done some communications to EMEA in the past through email, but this was a different level, and this was really the first time it was really inclusive for EMEA marketing. So this is the Unisphere platform, and this is our session. We had great interactivity, people asking questions. This is the all-access conference floor, and the booths are different topical areas in the product that we wanted to give attention to that were really, new or really awesome, had new features, or just had, all sorts of different things going on. So that was. And then another thing that we did that was really important was completely staffed the event with tons of people, tons of experts. The exhibition hall just had tons of people, and this is the lead staff for, sort of the main booths, but they weren't the only ones there. We had tons of people on the booths. And so, customers and prospects could come, they could talk to experts, and they could ask questions, and it was a really rich environment. We had meet and greets with the executives in the chat room, and it was a lot of fun. We do for marketing. So again, we advertised on the community site. We improved our communication to the sales team. We realized that we weren't where we needed to be with that, and that we wanted to advertise people about this event and get people to the event, and that the sales team was going to be a critical component of that. So we had a contest, because everybody loves to win stuff, and that went very well. And we invited the sales team to the event because we wanted them there and networking with their customers when they showed up. And they did. They came. They had already had experience because of our user conference. So they came and they contacted their customers, and it was lovely. And that contributes to the energy of the event. And of course, in marketing, we did email campaigns to our customer list, but really focused around getting them to the event, not so much really talking deep about the product, but really come to this event. This is where the excitement is. This is where the information is. But we did Box Pilot. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Box Pilot. That's voicemails. It calls up and leaves voicemails. You can do advertising through it. So we did a Box Pilot program. That was a good thing. No direct mail this time. We're already paying for the event. Not going to do an expensive direct mail. So that's how we got them there. So I want to talk a little bit about what was involved in pulling this off. So the resource requirements for this, very different from having, an hour webcast once a week for a week, right? So tons of SMEs, content writers to produce more content than ever before, because we wanted, a section on the website developed, section on the community site developed. So, we've got designers for the brand for the event. We want everything branded, the brand to flow through everything. Project manager, event manager, studio, pre-record the session. We pre-recorded, high-level demos in the booths, some different content, some different presentations. We also want to do social media. Now, our customers are not on Twitter, but we did want to do a little bit of social media announcing it, and we want to do a little bit in LinkedIn. So not the same level that you guys did, but we wanted to at least touch that a little bit. So here's my pain point. So as Marianne mentioned, events need pretty significant lead time. I had 5 weeks. They decided 5 weeks that they wanted to do this virtual. And I didn't jump off the roof. I'll be very proud of me. But yeah, ideally you want more than that, a lot more than that. And there's some gotchas because of that. The cost is not insignificant. It's offset for us by not doing that direct mail campaign. We did not choose to have partner sponsors in it. Well, there wasn't enough time, so there's that. But if you're considering, a partner launch, maybe you want to have some of your partners there to help you offset the cost. So something to think about. And it was totally worth it. So 4 times the reach. We got 4 times, what we reached with the webcast, right? So we blew out our numbers, of what we wanted. We got way more people. And then remember, it's the SMB. It's not 6,000, right? So, but it was that 4 times. That's a great number, right? Who doesn't love 4 times? We had 3, this is the big deal, 3 times the adoption of our software. 3 times people downloading our software than we have ever, any launch. That's awesome. And then there was a services uptick as well as part of that. So, and the other thing that virtual allowed us to do, it gave us this ability to provide this experience and give this, show us more complex big picture in the organization and how this software really fit into that and could solve business problems. And so it gave us this whole experience that you really don't have with like a drop-in webcast on a topic, right? So good stuff. But the hard lessons, 5 weeks. Don't do it. Don't let your executives do that to you. It's naughty. That's no good. Start as soon as you can. Like I said, start now. Yeah, start a month ago. Start. I'm just going to tell you, it's painful. While outreach to EMEA was better than in years past, I still feel like it wasn't quite there completely for some of the different languages. We probably should have had more translated content for the event. Didn't have time. So I don't think that we executed perfectly with regards to like France and Germany especially. I think we did okay in the UK, but not so much the other countries. You know what? Now in hindsight, I'm like, wow, we were dumb. We did product demos, but we didn't think people would really have the attention span or want to sit for really in-depth demos in this environment. And so we kept them, they showed some product, but they were still fairly high level. And that was not good enough. They wanted in-depth, more lengthy product demos. And so that was definitely a hard lesson learned because we were like, duh, of course they want deep product demos. And, but when you have 5 weeks, something falls through the cracks. And we did a fair job of tying to revenue. We did a poor job of tying to, of software revenue, of tying to services revenue. We know there was an uptick. We have that feeling. We can't give you numbers on that. It was a great experience. In fact, we're doing it again. We're doing one in March, and I just found out yesterday that we're doing it very soon. We're going to open registration.
5 weeks.
Yeah, I'm getting like 7 weeks this time. So so that's 2 more weeks. Keep me off the roof. But so just a few pointers for you guys. Obsession on the timeline here. You sensing a theme? So get the timeline right. Ideally, you try to influence the date and not have an executive walk in and say, I like this date because that date that he chooses is bad. So, pick a date or a couple dates and work your schedule back, realizing that virtual, you need more lead time to produce, your content, right? So work your schedule back, and there's tons of awesome sessions around, planning and all of that, but you definitely want more time. Start early. If you're doing, a product launch, you have your product management team. Start early with them. Get their buy-in as soon as possible. You're going to need them on content, and you're going to need them in the event. You're going to need to get them comfortable in the virtual arena because their presence are what gives your event energy. And make it useful. Absolutely staff it with those experts and provide really deep content. Not just, the marketing crap you pulled off your website. Really produce good content for your event. So that's all I have. Any good questions?
Okay. If you want the microphone, just tell me, but I have several questions for you here. Can you talk a little bit about getting the team on board, everyone from the executive level to, you just mentioned product development, sales, marketing. Were they all on board with you? And if not, how do you get them on board with you?
So for this event, it was our second event. So it was an easy sell. For our first event, there were a lot of fears around virtual. I'd spent a lot of time doing demos of the environments and getting them in the environment so they could get their hands on. because they really need to get in and experience it so that they can kind of get it. So, and you'll find generational challenges, like, the execs are kind of freaked out about, chats, and all your Gen Y are like, yeah, let's do 10 things. And so, it's, at first it was challenging, but once you've done one, it's magic. Then it's familiar, and then the next one's easier, and it just gets easier. But the first time you're going to have to do a lot of education, and there's going to be completely different levels of expertise and different kinds of fears from different people. So you're just going to have to be real open and talk to people a lot, and nurture the ones that need it, and then let the ones that don't, let them go. Let Gen Y go. So.
I would say when it's a launch, the corporation is on board. It's exciting because you need development on board, you need the sales team on board, you need marketing and high gear, and everybody. And we're talking about timeline, but the work's going to get done. It's kind of it's a unifying thing, and I think it's exciting where everyone's rallying around the same goal and the same initiative and sort of collaborating effectively.
Kimberly, do you think that 3 days was too long for your event?
For the user conference?
Was there a drop-off in attendance as well on the third day?
Not really. The user conference was a different scenario. It was mimicking an existing conference. So the expectation was already set that would be the time. And we also had offline activities going on as well, on the phone. So, a little bit drop off in the afternoons, but we actually see that in the physical event. So, nothing odd there. So for a user conference, that was fine. For the virtual, the 1 day, very long day, we lost the U.S. after 3 p.m. The U.S. was gone. We were basically sitting around waiting for Australia. It was dead.
Okay. And you've both mentioned product demos. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of explain, were they actually videos of product demos, or did you have people actually there demoing the product and a camera on them?
So for IBM Cognos 10, there were 9 demos that were done from the stage at Mandalay Bay. 7 of those were pre-recorded. The keystroking was pre-recorded. The presenter was speaking live to the demo, and then 2 of them were live. So
that's crazy. Ours were pre-recorded. Definitely pre-recorded.
Okay. And can you give us some ideas of what other features you'd like to see supported through virtual platforms? Not necessarily the ones you used, but in general.
I think, interactivity is super important, because even just at lunch this afternoon, the ladies I was sitting with said, I considered not coming to Virtual Edge. I was thinking about just, tuning in online, but I like the networking. And you can't replace face-to-face in that networking exactly, but I would like to see more facilitation, more pure, real facilitation of that in virtual environments versus, business card exchange and discussion forums that are not threaded, that are kind of confusing for the person moderating online discussions. The other area, and Kimberly touched on a little bit as well, is for a lot of the virtual conferences, we get sponsors. So we have business partners who are building their businesses and developing applications on top of the clients' products. And so they're paying money, and they get a lot of marketing promotion as part of the sponsorship. But when they're in the virtual environment, we drive the attendance there, but what I'm finding is with high technology, people are really interested in the session content, so we get, good participation there. We get fair traffic to the exhibit hall, solution showcase, partner pavilion, whatever you call it. What I think is missing is, you go to see a vendor because you want to see their product. And so going into a resource center and downloading collateral, it's not really, you can go to their website for that, basically. So just more integration, whether it's the platform providers or integrating another tool where they can just do real on-the-fly demos, more interaction with a product expert, one-on-one kind of thing. And I'm seeing it. I just think that especially when they're paying sponsors, you want to be able to deliver that kind of experience.
Definitely on the interactivity, I'd like to see a shift in the UI where It's a little, right now it's a little linear. The chats are a little minimalist, and I'd like to see something that, you know, shows pictures, or if they have a webcam, some capabilities there. So I'd like to see that expand and grow a little bit. And then in my dream world, LinkedIn would open up their API, and then we could like have better connectivity into that. But you know, that's just me dreaming.
You said something about costs. You said that the costs were comparable to a direct mail campaign. Now, beyond paying for the platform, aren't there a lot of other costs involved? I mean, making all these videos and the simulcast for you, and I mean, aren't there just some huge expenses involved here?
There can be for some organizations. We are lucky; we have a studio and a production director, and I manage the web team, so I have, you know, designers and coders. So we have all of that in house. But you're right. If you don't have that in house, then you're going to have to find a vendor. But the question is, how much of that would you have done anyways, you know, to support your product launch? You know, how much, you know, product launches across the board are getting more technical or leveraging technology more. So people are doing more video already. So if you're already sort of heading that way, maybe you're doing a couple videos with your product launch, or you're doing a couple webcasts, you know, record it and, you know, post-produce it and put it in the environment. So you probably have more of the pieces than you realize. It's just taking that next step to get it, you know, in the environment. But there are additional costs, and ours wasn't a one-for-one. I mean, direct mail is expensive, but it wasn't equal. Like, oh, you know, same amount as a direct mail. I mean, it is a little more expensive to do virtual, but we didn't have to do direct mail, so you know, it offset a little bit.
Yeah, I think I agree. So you've got some of those costs anyway, the marketing. You know, the live announcement that was happening in Las Vegas was going to happen anyway. So I really felt like it was fractional to extend that message and that launch to thousands and thousands of people globally by doing it virtually. And that was the third launch we've done for the Cognos division of IBM. And honestly, 5 years ago, we were still using satellite. So that was expensive. There was a web component too, but really there were downloads, and that was expensive. So I think the costs are coming down. And you know, for the audience that's in the room with us, if you haven't gone to see some of the exhibitors here today, you know, I've been talking to some of them this morning. The costs are continuing to come down. So those platform costs are coming down, which is really nice.
Okay, great. Unless anybody has another question, I think I got through my questions. I apologize for the crossover of the speakers. I apologize to you too, since there were not more people.
We're fine.
But the Virtual Edge keynote session is beginning in about 5 minutes in, room 319. Thank you. 319. So thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.